is preparing to live stream the meeting.
Hello, everyone.
Wait, it's not
Hello.
anybody's live yet, is it?
It says we're
Can you
live, so
hear?
we are live.
All right.
Happy Monday evening, and we're so excited tonight for a
Yes,
special
we are.
guest.
So, happy June. And our members have been super, super, super excited all month long because we have the queen of beach reads, who we love so much, on tonight. I think you guys might have heard of a special lady named Mary Kay
Mary Kay
Andrews.
Andrews, maybe.
So, Brenda, I'm not even going to talk anymore. You want to go ahead and introduce her as if
I
she
would
needs an
love to.
introduction?
I would love to, Lisa. But just to recap, tonight we are going to be talking with New York Times best-selling author Mary Kay Andrews, author of more than 30 novels and a cookbook. A native of St. Petersburg, Florida, she earned a BA in journalism from the University of Georgia. Go Bulldogs. After a 14-year career working as a reporter, she left journalism to write fiction. She went on to write 10 critically acclaimed mysteries under her real name, Kathy Hogan Trocek. In 2006, Hissy Fit became her first New York Times bestseller, which, by the way, Summers at the Saint became an instant bestseller that we're going to talk about tonight, followed by 15 more New York Times, USA Today, and Publishers Weekly bestsellers. She and her family divide their time between Atlanta and Tybee Island, Georgia. Welcome, Mary Kay. Can't wait to talk about
Yay.
this one. Does it say ain't on the other side? Thoughts?
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Well,
Thanks
good
for
evening,
joining
Mary Kay.
us.
Thanks so much for joining us. Yes,
Oh,
to
my
talk about this fabulous novel, Summers at the Saint. This thing has taken on a life of its own since Pub Day. Well, really before Pub Day.
pleasure.
And there's so much in this story. I reread the last part of it, and without saying anything revealing, because we don't have spoilers yet, there's just fireworks going off everywhere at the end. So we'll get into questions in a moment, but Mary Kay, could you give a summary for those watching who haven't read it yet? And remember, to those watching, spoilers are going to be okay after 7:10, and we'll give the spoiler warning. And also put your questions for Mary Kay in the chat.
Oh, what is it about? Well, it's about Tracy Eddings. She has grown up in a small Georgia coastal town called Bonaventure. And it's a paper mill town. And she's from a working class family. And right across the river is a very iconic, very upper class snooty hooty resort called the Saint Cecilia. And so the title, the summer in the title, the saint in the title refers to the Saint Cecilia, which is an iconic, generations old resort where generations of families have vacation. They have memberships there. And so the people who go there are saints, and the people who have memberships there and play tennis and golf and swim on their beach, they're saints. People who live across the river are ain'ts. They're the people that normally would not get past that security guard shack. And Tracy Tracy's always been fascinated with this pink castle-like hotel across the river. She can see it, but she can't really touch it. And eventually she and her best friend get a job at the Saint for the summer, and things happen. Her best friend's name is Shannon, and she's a very important part of this story. And Tracy marries into the Eddings family. She marries the owner's son, and they have a happy marriage until he dies in a private plane crash. And then things change. She is running the hotel, but her husband's family has never accepted her. They've never thought she was good enough. They've let her know she ain't one of them. She ain't a saint. She's still an ain't to them. And she's the book starts, it's just about Memorial Day, and she's got all kinds of problems coming out of the pandemic. There are problems, something's going on at the hotel. It's not as profitable as it should be. She can't hire enough help, and there is an old tragedy that occurred the first summer Tracy went to work there as a 19-year-old. Then there's a murder and mystery and a second chance of romance. But really, boiling it down like we always do on the show, we always talk about what's it about, which I just told you, and then what it's really about. I think what it's really about is I think we all want to belong to something. We all want to feel a part of a community. And that's what Tracy longs for. And so belonging is what it's about, and longing. Not only does she long to belong to something, it's 4 years after her husband's death, and Tracy's wondering what's next in her life, and will she move forward out of the cloud of grief that has descended on her after her husband's death. So that's what it's about.
Wonderful, Mary Kay. That's one of the things I'm glad that you went ahead and covered that, because the setting is so integral to this story. And you paint such an amazing picture of the setting that it's very easy to get yourself into the story.
Thank you.
So that was one of my favorite things. Along with, I have to tell you, one of the kind of little touches that I just loved was the tradition of the sunset on the patio, watching the sunset on the patio.
Yeah. The saint is inspired by, but is not inspired by Sea Island, which is just across the river from Brunswick. And they have a tradition, something like that. So I sort of borrowed that. But also I love sunset. Sunsets are my favorite part of the day.
Oh. Thanks so much, Mary Kay. I think Lisa has something for you.
So you have had an amazing book tour, and we've seen a lot of book club friends and friends and fiction fans. What has been a great moment for you on tour?
Oh gosh, there were so many of them. Looking out in some places and seeing friends that I didn't know were going to show up. We just had so much fun. Of course, the book launch down in Jupiter, not Jupiter, at Bookmarks down
Neptune.
at Neptune Beach, yeah. And Ron was with us, and Sean, who is our AV boy. Sean came all the way from Albuquerque.
We want Sean.
Yeah, he came all the way from Albuquerque with his sister, and we just had the best time hanging out with them and finally meeting. We had a meet cute with Sean. We've been doing the show with him for 4 years, and none of us had met him in person. So that was a ton of fun.
Oh, I love that. Meet cute with Sean.
We had Ron with us too, so the gang was all there.
Cabana boy.
I had made for Ron and for Sean, and Sean says cabana boy.
I love it.
I think Ron said bartender. I can't remember, but I think that's what I had made. And they're pink, like the pink of Saint Cecilia.
Of course they are. That's awesome. Well, Mary Kay, one of the things that we wanted to talk with you about tonight. Oh, and by the way, we just hit 7:10, so we're spoilers are okay now. So if any of you haven't read the book, it's time to turn down the volume or leave us and come back to the recording. Because we're going to get down into some details in the next little bit. There's so much to unpack too. I don't even know where to start. But you've written Summers at the Saint in a really interesting way. It's sort of third person, not omniscient, third person perspective. How was that different for you? And what was your favorite? Who was your favorite perspective to write?
Well, in the novel, Tracy hires staff to live in this dorm that she makes a staff dorm out of an old golf cart barn. And so it was multiple POV. And so I kind of had to get in the heads of those folks, and they were all very young. They're all in their 20s and come from very different backgrounds. So that was a challenge. And also trying to write it in such a way I didn't want my readers to go, wait a minute, who's that? So I tried to make them as strikingly different as I could. And it was fun writing about all of them. But Felicia, the black chef who's from Miami, she's feisty and takes nothing off nobody, and she was fun to write about. In fact, I had so much fun with her. She almost took the story over.
Really? Oh
Yes,
my
I
goodness.
liked her. Yeah, I liked her so much. I thought, gosh, she needs a man. And I had Lisa, I don't know if I told you this, Lisa. I had a gorgeous guy, a rich guy. He's black, but he has a blue-eyed black man. And he has these long dreads and he's very sexy. And then Felicia just wanted to take over the book, so I had to tell her maybe another time.
Ooh, I did not know that. My camera, I'm having some tech issues, but I heard every word and woo, I would have liked to see that.
I know Felicia was such a great character too. I mean, she had no fear, and she was great at what she did, and it really was, showcased,
Mhm.
in the book. So I was curious from our readers who are watching, whose perspective were y'all most interested in reading, or who did you most identify with? And we'll check again in the chat in a few minutes. So, Mary Kay, you've written more than 30 novels. I think we're losing track at this point,
Me
but
too. I mean, here they all
many,
are. I've got all the jackets framed on my office wall.
I'll just say 30 plus.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some
that
more
being said, so
there.
many people think this is your best novel yet, or are saying this is your best novel yet. That being said, it did go a little darker than typical,
Yeah.
and you touched on so many important topics, from drug abuse to assault to family trauma, lots of stuff. Yet you did it in your signature MKA way. Was this process different for this book than in previous books?
Not really. A lot of the twists and turns the plot took, I hadn't planned on. And so I just knew that of course I knew there was going to be an old tragedy, which is, I guess, since we're doing spoilers, the summer Tracy and Shannon, her best friend, go to work at the Saint. A little 8-year-old boy drowns in the pool while they're lifeguarding, and Shannon gets blamed. And I knew from the beginning that that was going to happen. Then I had to figure out how that actually ties into the story and how that has a ripple effect later on in the book. And each of those staff members, they needed to appear to have a motive for the present day murder. So, I think I kind of approach it like I always do, which is basically by the seat of my pants.
Well, pretty good seat of the pants work there. So we have a question from one of our book club members, from Rhonda, and she said, "OMG, I love this book. My question is, if you had to come up with another twist, what character would you have given it to?"
Oh, well, maybe KJ, because KJ, you know, he's a victim too in this book.
Yes.
He's a closeted gay man, and he's from a wealthy family, and he's basically blackmailed into going along with the hijinks going on behind the scenes at the Saint. And I think it would be interesting to maybe write a little bit more from his point of view, or from Olivia. Olivia, you know, is Shannon's daughter, and I think it might have been interesting to write about her. I'm so used to not giving spoilers, it's hard for me to say what happens and who
I
doesn't.
know, isn't it funny?
Yeah.
You can
But
be
often
free. You
people,
can be free.
I know you've been on book tour and making allusions and not saying this and
Yeah.
not saying that. But there's so much excitement in this book. But I do have to say, I agree. KJ, I felt I kept pulling for him to, to
Do
to
the
come
right
out
thing.
of that. Yeah, to quit messing around and adult. And it just wasn't there for him in the plot.
No, he's one of these guys that he's entitled. He's been brought up to believe he's entitled, and that he doesn't have to take responsibility for his actions. And so the consequences are pretty severe in this one.
Absolutely. You talked earlier about, you know, being by the seat of your pants and it kind of evolving. At what point did you know which character was behind Parrish's death?
Well, I'll tell you, I started out the very beginning, I thought Charlie was the murderer.
And I'm leaning forward like I'm going to hear you better.
I know.
I started out Charlie was going to be the murderer, and my editor came to
Ah,
me one day and said it can't be him. And I'm like, what are you talking about? No,
really?
I planned it that way. And she said, no, it's too obvious. He has the most obvious motive. He has the most obvious opportunity. You have to make it someone else. And I'm like, well, who? And she came up with the idea that it should be Madeline, who is Tracy's sister-in-law. Now, Madeline at that point had a very tiny walk-on part. All we knew about her was that she was Rick's second wife, and that they were fussing and fighting, and that Rick was screwing around on her. And so when my editor said that, I thought, huh. And then that just sort of opened up the door for all kinds of opportunities. Once
Mm-hmm.
once I became a believer, I thought, oh my God, it's if it surprises me, hopefully it'll surprise the reader, and that's what it's about.
Well, it certainly did. And of course, Madeline wasn't very likable from the beginning.
Right.
Obviously, you didn't create her to be likable, but I didn't suspect her of anything more than being a bad designer and and rude person,
And a
you
meddler.
know. Right, the meddler. That's the perfect way to put it. Um, I was curious of our book club members, who were you most suspicious of when you were reading through the book? I was, of course, leaning toward Charlie in the beginning as well. Lisa, do we
Well,
do we have anything in the
while
chat? I
they're
know we're having some technical
while,
difficulties.
yeah, while they're starting to put things in the chat, but there's a little bit of a delay, so I
Okay.
will let you know once I have some
Okay.
answers.
Well, let's pop over to a couple of the other characters then while we're waiting. I really enjoyed Tracy and Whelan's relationship and how it evolved. Could you talk to us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, I love the device of a stranger riding into town, because
Mm-hmm.
it's always a catalyst for something. And so for the longest time, I didn't even know Waylon's first name. I just knew his name was Waylon. And I knew, so I had to think, okay, why is he there? And then I thought, well, what if his half brother Hudson is the little boy who drowns? It's his mother's second marriage, and Hudson is the product of her second marriage, and of course, Waylon is much older when the child dies, but he was fond of him. And what really breaks Waylon's heart is that his mother just basically is destroyed by the death of this little boy. She blames herself, and she does bear some blame for the circumstances of his death. But she dies. Her second husband divorces her and leaves her with nothing, and she ends up alone, and she dies young. So Waylon, comes to the saint to find out what really happened that summer. And so I wrote a scene where he arrives in Bonaventure, the town across the river, and he gets an apartment and starts driving an Uber. And then I had to figure out, now, how does he get over to the Saint?
Perfect. Oh, I love it. One
And
of
how
the
does he
things,
meet Tracy too, because that was important.
yes, that's right. And it had to be kind of in a, not so,
Right.
it had to be kind of a forbidden way.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious, as we're talking about the characters, because I'm still wondering about Rick, even after all this time. Have you given any thought to what happens to Rick after this whole, miserable experience? And, because he spends all of his energy blaming Tracy for
Yeah.
everything, from Parrish to everything. And so have you given any thought to what happens to Rick?
Not a moment.
No.
No, I think Karma has already dealt Rick some pretty a heavy burden. And but no, I don't worry about him. I'm on to the next book.
Okay. Well, that is there is a lag time, because when did you finish Summers at the Saint and the edits and
Lord, who
everything?
knows? I finished the revisions while I was in Kauai for the Kauai Writers Workshop in November, which was cutting it real close to the wire.
So that's still 6 months ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that always interests me about how writers are all, you're doing a work, then you're promoting a work in addition to starting your next one. And it's got to be difficult, because people probably ask you a lot, hey, what were you thinking when you wrote blah 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 in
No clue.
Hello Summer?
No clue. I mean, most of the time there are some moments that, kind of stand out for me. Like when I was trying to figure out, I wanted a big dramatic scene. And so I decided that KJ and Garrett would decide to try to, burn the girls down in the dorm. And I thought, wow, that's pretty drastic. But I thought, when they're threatened with discovery of what they've done, they would do that.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of what made it so, well, there's a lot of things that made it a little bit darker, but just that seeing that relationship develop between the characters and then knowing that they would do that.
Yeah, I mean, they all think, well, we're a team, we're coworkers, we're colleagues,
Right.
we party together, we live under the same roof, but sometimes there is no loyalty among thieves.
Mm, well said.
Very well said. So, I have a question from Edie. She wants to know, what summer drink should we drink to toast the success of this wonderful book?
Oh gosh, well, we made a cocktail at the Atlanta launch called what do we call that? A sunsetter?
Was it the Sun or the Saintly
Saintly
Center?
Center. It was called the Saintly Center. I think it
Oh,
was
I love it.
yeah, I think it was vodka and pink grapefruit juice and lime and club soda. But a Paloma would be delicious.
I
Ooh.
love a Paloma.
Mm.
And totally off topic because that made me think of a little drink umbrella. I love this book cover, and that's
Thank you.
totally random, but it just
I do
made me
too.
think of it because the wonderful metallic look on the back of it is just fabulous.
Yeah, we were, as soon as we saw, what happens is, um, once you're, working on the book, the art director starts working on what the cover will look like. And as soon as he sent us images, and as soon as he sent us that, we all went, that's it. That's the cover. And I've had so many people reach out to me and say, I've never heard of you before, but I saw that book and I had to have it. Because it does. And we always want, well, people are like, you know what? I thought this book was going to be all light and fluff, but there's some heavy stuff in there. And I'm like, well, we, it's very deliberate. We want the book to look celebratory. We want the book to
Mhm.
look delicious, to draw you in. And once you're in, we got you.
Okay, I've got a question. Actually, we've had several people ask this, but Susan says, would you consider writing a sequel to Summers at the Saint, maybe moving forward a few years to see where life takes some of our favorites? I absolutely love this book and would love to see more.
I really have not contemplated that. As I said, I'm on to the next book. And it's so hard doing a sequel because it's hard to live up to the original book. And I have written sequels. I wrote 4 Savannah books when I said I would never write a sequel to Savannah Blues, but then I went and wrote Savannah Breeze and Blue Christmas and Christmas Bliss. Um, I have not thought of a sequel for this.
Mm.
There you hear, folks. You heard it. Maybe we can convince MKA to do a little spin-off or a novella, a little, I don't know, a
I
little
have
saintly
learned,
center.
I have learned from experience never to say never.
Ah,
True.
good point.
Um, so, okay. Now, Edie would like to know, do you like getting into bad guys' heads?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's hard because I was raised to be a nice girl. And I think most of us have drawn lines with what we would and wouldn't do. We have beliefs that keep us from acting on our worst impulses. But I was a police reporter for a few years, and what I learned from that is that the difference between us and the bad guys is the bad guys don't have impulse control.
Mm.
Um, They do exactly what they want to do, because for whatever rationalization they have for doing what they do, or they just, they're psychotic or sociopaths or whatever. But it's interesting, yeah, to think about um, what happens in somebody's, what happens in their way of thinking that they decide this is okay to do.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. So another question that we have, an advanced question, is, are there any scenes that didn't make it into the book that you wish had?
Well, yeah, I mean, I mentioned the blue-eyed black man that I was going to give Felice for a love interest. I know he was hot. Let me tell you.
I'm gonna
So
wait for you, Lisa.
He's already my book boyfriend, and he didn't even make
I wrote a scene where they met in the coffee shop where Felice is hanging out using the free Wi-Fi while she's trying to get a job. And when she gets the interview to work at the Saint, she's goes out to a thrift store and buys herself some outfit. She's penniless. Her boyfriend's abandoned her and left her with nothing. And so she's desperate. She's got to get a job. So I wrote this scene where she goes in the ladies' room and changes and comes out. And the guy says, "You look fine." And she turns to him and says, "I didn't ask you how I looked." And then I
I
wrote
love it.
I
Yeah,
wrote, oh,
snap.
yeah. I wrote a scene where he takes her sailing. He takes her sailing, I think the morning they discover, originally he was going to take her sailing the morning they discover Parrish is dead. But as I said, that subplot had to go. I mean, the book is long enough as it is.
It was
Oh
great,
no.
though.
Yeah, I wrote other I think I wrote other scenes too. Um I can't really remember. I know that I cut after I handed it in, I cut, maybe 75 pages out of the finished manuscript. So
Wow.
yeah, a lot of stuff hit the cutting room floor.
Oh, that just pains me to hear.
Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing. The book was originally going to start with a prologue with Hudson. So the prologue, instead of being Tracy on the river as a little girl looking at the saint, it was going to be Hudson, um, whose mother basically tells him, get lost, because she's fooling around with a lifeguard who it turns out is Rick. And so I was going to
Everyone
write
does.
this scene, as one does. I was going to write this scene where Hudson, she tells him to get lost, go to the pool. I wrote it from his point of view where he's mad and he does all this stuff, and then, it had to go. And then also my editor was adamant we couldn't start the book with that because it was just too dark. And she was right. You don't want to start a book with a child's death.
Mm.
Not one of my books anyway. So then I wrote the scene where Tracy is a little girl looking at the saint, and it worked, I think, much better. She's almost always.
Well, I wanted to share, there's a whole conversation going on in the chat, and they have decided, our members, we show up, we show out, but we also give opinions. And they would like to see the sequel that you never said never to as a Christmas book, and they're calling it Christmas at the Saint.
Oh, well, we'll see. I can't.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I can't
No
promise.
pressure. Just a little
I
book
will.
club feedback.
I
I'm
will.
like, what is all this about Christmas book, Christmas at the Saint? So
I will tell you
yeah.
all that just between us, that I have a Christmas short story coming out this fall. It's an Amazon original.
Yay.
It's called Holiday Hideaway, and that'll be
Yay.
Yeah, that'll be out in the fall. It'll be free for Prime members, and it'll also be an Audible original too. And we're waiting to see. I can't wait to see who they cast for the narrator. So that'll be fun.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so I'll let everybody know when I know exactly when it's going to release.
You heard it first. Get your
Awesome. Can't
Amazon
wait.
Prime memberships ready.
Mine's ready.
Can you tell us a little bit what it's about?
Yeah, it's about a woman. She's been divorced for 6 months. Now, this book will be the first, not the first, but it's actually set in a small coastal town in New England. And it's she works for a vacation rental company, and she's homeless because she's gotten an old dog from the shelter, adopted him. His name is Smoosh, and that gets her kicked out of her apartment. Her landlady kicks her out right before Christmas. She doesn't have a place to live. She gets paid, on commission, and it's the slow time of year during Christmas. You don't go to a beach town in New England. So she's basically squatting in this old house that their company manages. It hadn't been Nobody's rented it for a long time because it needs fixing up, and the old man who owns it is too cheap to do it. So she's hiding out there. She's living in the house, and she looks out her dog barks one day, and she looks out. Oh my God, there's a car in the driveway. A guy is pulling up. He's unloading his suitcases. Now she's got to run for the attic and hide out. And so then stuff happens.
Love it. Oh, I can't wait for that one.
I know. And time is flying, and I know there's one thing, and this is just an MKA question. It's not about Summers at the Saint, but I recently found this out and I was shocked and I did not know. So I want MKA to share with you guys too. She's looking like, uh-oh.
So what have you found out?
Both of you guys look nervous. No, I'm just kidding. So I heard that Mary Kay has a video game for the homewreckers.
No,
Can you
not the
talk?
homewreckers. It's for
The
for the
fixer-upper?
fixer-upper. Yeah.
The fixer-upper.
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, when the book first came out, a guy who now he runs this company. I don't know what it's called. His mom and his wife were big fans of my books, and I guess his wife said, "Hey, you should develop a game around one of her novels." And so they reached out and said, "Will you sell us the rights to do a game for the Fixer Upper?" I'm like, "Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing." It's a hidden object game. It's a hidden object game. And the platform it's on it's for Nintendo Switch. And I told my grandson who's a gamer the other day, and he didn't believe me. I mean, he's 13, so he doesn't believe I could ever do anything cool. But yes, there is a fixer-upper game, and it's for the Nintendo Switch platform. And that's all I know about it. I mean, I saw it one time and I went, okay. But it's called the Fixer-Up, and it's based on the book.
That is awesome. And now I want to get a Nintendo Switch. Just another reason for me to be a dork.
Well, my grandson has one, but I don't think he was impressed enough to download it or play it. But maybe
I
if
just
all
felt
these
like that was
people,
such a cool thing. It
yeah,
was so
maybe if all these,
cool.
yeah, maybe if all these people know about it, they'll play it, and I'll get more than, 47 cents a quarter in royalties.
Hey, let's go for $1.
Yay!
That
Let's
would be
get it
over
up.
double. That would be
So
over
she
double your money.
I can scale up I can buy a more expensive brand of cheap Chardonnay.
Well, Lisa gave us a little surprise and nervousness while ago, so I'm going to take my turn. We have a special guest popping in tonight
Oh Lord.
to talk with
Ooh, a
Mary
special
Kay.
book club guest.
I know. Who could it be?
I don't know.
Let's
know,
see
but
who the roulette wheel.
Someone who can share
lands
more
on.
secrets, possibly.
Hello, are you there?
I see Meg's.
Not quite yet. Well, yes, I guess
See a
the,
photo.
yeah, we're seeing a photo for those who can't see it. Meg is
While
somewhat here.
she's coming on, everyone in the chat is excited about the game. Diane says, I love hidden object games.
Hi.
And we'll pass it around. Yay!
What's up?
Hey, Meg.
Hey, Meg.
Hi.
You here?
What?
Imagine seeing you here.
Imagine that. What's going
Meg is
on?
our surprise guest. Surprise.
Yeah, I hope I
Yes,
have
we've
a
been
lot.
full of surprises tonight.
I'm an ain't also, not a saint. Whoop whoop.
I
For
love
sure.
it. I love it.
Now,
How's
So-
it going?
So
Good.
Good.
You know, I once again, Meg knows what an airhead I am.
Uh-oh.
She knows
No.
she and I have been touring for 15 years together. So there's a list of things you don't let me do. Get directions to anything. Book a book tour. Also never happening again. I'm sure
Driving is on an as needed basis.
as needed. What about keys?
keys, I usually keep track of keys okay.
Just
Oh, that's
knowing
my
which-
that's
yeah.
my thing. I never know where my keys are.
I'd like to say that
So,
Mary,
Meg.
Mary Kay gets lost leaving the hotel room, but when you are in a different hotel in a different city every single night, it is challenging.
It is challenging, but among the other things that you don't usually leave me to do is schedule things that I double booked tonight. So I have
Oh.
a second book club Zoom that I need to get off by 7:45. So I didn't tell
Yeah.
you that, Meg, because I didn't want to hear it.
Well, it's kind of
Shame,
spilled the beans now,
shame.
but we knew you had to do that, Mary
Yes,
Kay.
I
so
did.
we-
Yeah.
I did confide to Lisa and Brenda.
Yes,
And
and
now
so our
we'll just
plan.
have Meg tell tour stories and she's going to tell
That's
us the
right.
real scoop.
All right.
So that was our backup plan was
Oh,
to
I'll
have
be but
Meg
a
come
poor
on and tell
substitute.
tour stories.
I know what she needs to do is she needs to tell the wackiest stuff that's happened to us
Oh
on
yes.
on book
That
tour.
is the
I
plan.
mean, that will fill up.
Okay.
That could fill up an hour.
There are quite a few oddball things that have happened.
All right, I am going to. It's almost. I got to sign off.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Mary Kay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for joining us,
Oh, it's
even
my
though you
pleasure.
had a
Really-
busy schedule.
Now
Really
I'm
quick, I know
editing.
that they have, if our readers want to get signed copies, I know they can get some from Eagle Eye. Are there
Yes.
any other?
Yeah, if they Meg, they could ask for a signed book plate and I can send it.
True that, but also I feel like a lot of the stores you visited on your book tour
Still have
still
signed
have
books.
some
Okay.
stock. So if
Yeah.
you look at the book tour and any of them are near you or a store you'd like to give your business to, give them a call and see if they have any signed
And I'll
copies in
be-
stock.
Tomorrow night I'm at the Decatur Library with Wanda Morris at 7:00.
Yes.
They'll sell my books there, The Bookworm. And then Friday night, I'm at a new bookstore in Fayetteville, Georgia called Scholars and Scribes. That starts at 5.
Oh, yay.
And
Oh, I love that name.
on the 27th, I am at another Atlanta bookstore called Poe and Company. And hopefully all that stuff will be on my website. I got to go. Bye,
I think
y'all.
it is. And June
Hey,
28th.
thanks so much, Mary Kay.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mary
Good luck with
Kay.
your other one. Don't forget June 28th in St. Louis too.
Yes,
Come-
with
Oh,
the
right.
Fab Four, the big party.
Together.
So
We have a
definitely
whole
the
lot
novel
going
neighbor
on.
in St. Louis will have some signed copies too after the 28th for sure.
Yeah.
I know.
So
And I can't believe it's already mid-June. I mean,
It's
it's
flying
just
by, right?
crazy.
Yeah,
this year's just flown by.
it has.
So Meg, you have
Yeah.
toured with Mary Kay for this book. You know all the ins and outs. So I want to ask you, I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Sure.
What the first question is, what is you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I feel like it's okay. What is the main question Mary Kay gets asked on tour? And is there a question that she's asked that she doesn't like to answer?
Oh, you know what? It might be the same thing. She gets asked, she gets
She's
asked
like, oh,
quite often whether she's going to write another Bebe and Wheezy book.
oh,
Probably at every
wow.
event, somebody asks that.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
cool.
obviously she loves those characters and has great fondness for them, but there is no real plan at the moment to write another installment in that series. It's a little complicated because the series originated at another publishing house, right? And
Yeah.
she's not really doing the series thing these days, so I don't, there's not a real plan, but she also, never says never. So I think if something came to her, she did write one Christmas installment in that series at St.
Mhm.
Martin's. So the last Savannah series Christmas book, which was what, Lisa? Christmas Bliss? Yes,
Yes.
Christmas Bliss. That
Like,
was published by St. Martin's. Yeah, so I think that she gets asked that quite a bit. As far as this book, people are super curious about the real resort that she based it on. They have their own guesses. She loves answering that because she has she probably answered it for you earlier, but she has a list of resorts it's really based on. I mean, mostly the Cloister in St. Simon's, but there's a few
yeah.
others. Yeah.
Well, and I can understand that too, because setting is just ultra important to the story. It's just,
Mhm.
it's completely integrated, and it's like the saint is a person, a character.
Absolutely. In this book, it
Yeah.
truly is. And it's funny when she first brought the idea for this book to her editor, Jen, she wanted it to be set in the mountains. Did she tell you that?
Mm-mm.
So her idea was to set it at like a mountain resort. And her editor was like, no way, it has to be at the coast. So same exact, idea that she had,
Formula. Yeah.
ruminated on, but yeah, we just made it beachy.
When you first read Summers at the Saint, what was your initial reaction? And did you read each version of it, or
Oh, that's
you
a good
just read the
question.
final copy? Or was there
Well,
anything that changed along the way that you were surprised by?
well, she writes really close to deadline or, over deadline. So there's
Mhm.
not a lot of
I know.
various versions that are available like months out. But
I love it.
I did read it as soon as it was final enough for her to want to share it with me. And I just loved it. I marveled. I was like, well, she did it again, like
Yeah.
um and I think it's one of her best books ever. And I don't say that because I'm, paid to, but um, I think I love how many young characters are in this book.
Yeah.
Um, and the huge ensemble, the cast of characters, I think really
Mm,
added depth to it. And we've got the cranky old man and the young college kids and the young chef and there's every age range,
Yeah.
and I just
yeah.
thought it was really
So much representation.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was great.
there's a gay character, there's a black character, there's an old man, there's there's her main character is always going to be a you know uh probably a 30 something woman looking for a second chance at something, love, career, all of the above, right? Trying to figure out where home is. That theme is always there, but I feel like the ensemble nature of this book and the caper, I thought it was really fun. We were on, I mean, there was some darkness too. I was a little surprised at how, which, I don't want to give it away for
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't finished it, but
Oh,
there's
we're in
some
the
Well,
dark.
we
spoiler section.
Oh, okay. All right.
we're
Yeah,
and
we're
we talked
spoiling.
about it we talked about it a little bit with her because it is darker than, you
Mhm.
know, than her other works.
It is, but in the end, you still get the same
Mm-hmm.
classic MKA stuff you came for.
Absolutely.
Meg, I was gonna share something, but Kathy, I think you know Kathy, your mom, very well.
Oh,
She says, "Tell the story about the possum."
oh boy. All right.
Thanks, Kathy.
Hi,
I
Mom.
wish you were here. I love your mom.
Oh, my mom's the best. If you guys don't know, my mom is Kathy Nolan All. She's always on the live shows and everything. She's a big F&F'er. But
And I was with her the first time she ever had Taco Bell in life.
oh, that's
Really?
right.
A memory that we'll have forever.
Yeah, and there's no Taco Bell quite like the 3 a.m. Taco Bell either.
Right, exactly.
That's hilarious.
Well, so we were in this cute little town of Seaside, Florida. Um, uh, Mary Kay had a daytime signing on Mother's Day. Like she was parked at a table in this adorable store in this adorable town, and there's like this bustling section where there's tons of shops and restaurants and bars, and there's a band shell and there's live music and there's food trucks, and it's all right across from the Gulf Beach, and it's just beautiful. And everywhere you look, there's dogs, and I'm such a dog nut. And so while she was signing, I was like milling around, and I met all kinds of dogs and puppies and all ages and sizes. And so later that evening, we had gone back to where we were staying. We came back for dinner and we were walking around. And this woman came walking towards us, and she was wearing a sling with what I assumed was a dog inside, because I, full confession, have the very same sling, because I have a very high maintenance dachshund who likes to be carried around in the, like, like a baby Bjorn type of situation. And I went just walking right up, like not even thinking. Maybe it was the martini. I don't know why. I was like, "Oh, what do you have in there?" Thinking it was like a puppy or like an elderly dog. And it was a possum. She goes, "It's an opossum." I was like, a what? A what? A what now?" And I like pulled my hand away, and she like opened up the flap, and it was like the
Oh my gosh.
pink pointy nose, beady eyes. I was like, "Why?" I go, why do you have that?"
Oh
I
my
was trying
gosh.
I was trying to be nice. And it was a couple, and they were like, "Well," they start doing the thing that people do, I think, whenever you have a gross pet, they're like, "It's very clean." And I was like, "I should just get out of here." And we were walking away, and he said, "Thank you for being kind to us." And I was thinking, just wait till we get 5 feet away. We're not going to be so kind. But I did take a picture of it.
My
It was somewhere on
gosh.
my Instagram.
That is crazy.
I'll post it in the comments after the thing, but
Yeah.
it
Oh,
was
please.
something.
Please do.
But this was a couple years ago. We were on tour for, I guess, The Newcomer. We were also in Florida. Maybe there's a common theme. We were in
I think so.
Crazy
Well-
stuff happens in Florida. Okay, let's just say it. It does.
It does.
Bears
Hashtag
and
Florida,
sharks
man.
are in the ocean right now. Like, yeah.
So we were at the bookmark in Neptune Beach, and a woman came in, and instead of a seeing eye dog or like a comfort dog, therapy dog, whatever you call those, she had a
Service dog.
pony,
Mhm.
a pony, a service pony. The thing was like waist high, and it was just milling around at the cash register, like how at the cash register they have little things for sale, like they had little soaps, and it was eating them all. And the people who worked there were
I
like,
think
"You have to
Mary
go. You have to leave. Get that thing out of here." And they're
I
like, "You're not
can't
allowed to
believe-
kick us out. It's my service animal." And they were like, "We have to kick you out because he's eating the soap."
I can't believe the pony was inside of the store.
Inside the store. And we
Ugh.
mentioned the story to Ron Block, who used to live in Jacksonville, which is the town over. And he said, "Oh, I know her. I know that pony."
You're
But
kidding.
No, she used to go to like book events at the Jacksonville Library and bring the pony.
Did it have a service fest?
I don't
Oh my
remember. I'll
gosh.
dig up the pictures of that too, because we sure took a lot of pictures of the pony.
The things we unearthed.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Crazy things happen on the road.
Well, if you guys have any questions for Meg, we have a few more minutes. Drop it in the chat. And while you do that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Christy was so sweet. Christy Woodson Harvey was so sweet to do a special giveaway just for us.
Ooh.
And it's for two, or there'll be two winners of an advanced copy of Happier Life. So we
I
have
love
our
that book,
two
you guys.
winners.
Loved it.
I know I'm headed to Mexico in the morning and this is coming with me, so I can't wait to read
Yeah,
it.
you got to get that in the bag.
I
to
gotta
go.
get it in the So our two winners, I'll announce one and Brenda will announce one. So the
Okay.
first winner is Ann Jackson. Yay, Ann. Send us a private message and with your address, and we'll make sure to get it out to you.
And the
Brenda?
second winner is Cherry Hill Herman.
Ooh.
I like the drum roll.
Yay!
So
I
Terry,
can't do it either.
DM either me or Lisa with your address, and we will get you hooked up with that wonderful copy of A Happier Life.
Probably best to do Brenda, since I will be out of the country
that's
and
right.
might have delayed response. So
Yes.
you can DM
Message me.
Brenda. Yes. And we'll get that
Congratulations.
out to you.
Congratulations
Yay.
is right. It's a great book. You're in for a treat.
Woohoo. Okay. Do you have a favorite moment from this tour for Summers at the Saint?
Favorite moment.
That you can share.
Otherwise, people are going to have to
I'm just
try
kidding.
harder to get a thing.
No, I think, well, yeah, I think my favorite event, I would say, was the Atlanta launch, and Lisa, you were there. It
And so
was
was Ron,
and Ron and a bunch of
Erica.
Mary Kay's New York team came down to Atlanta. So her agent Stuart was there, her editor Jen, her publicist Jessica, and Erica, who is Mary Kay's marketing director at St. Martin's Press, came with her husband and with her baby.
Love.
And
I
we all
love
got to meet
them.
the baby for the first time. And it was
Yeah.
kind of magical just having all those people in the same room. And I think Mary Kay just really felt the love. And
Oh,
not only that, there were probably 4 other authors there, right? Like Chris Swan
Yeah.
and
Wanda Morris,
yep.
Emily Carpenter, I think,
Yep.
and Kimberly Brock.
Yep. Yep. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a great night. And her family, you know, her son Andy was there, her
Yeah.
granddaughter was there. It just felt like it was a great way to kick things off.
It was definitely special. That whole weekend was just special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I was hoping you would pick Atlanta, but I wasn't going to say that. But I
No, it
love that.
was it was
That's the only
great.
one I've been to, but
I
it
mean,
was so
we were in
fun
some
with Ron and
truly
everything.
beautiful places on the tour, and that was nice. But the tour, you know, while the events were spectacular and they went off without a hitch for the most part, there was insane weather. There was delayed flights, and there was a lot of travel drama, and so I'm thinking back to Atlanta before any of that started and how lovely it was.
well, hopefully that's the end of all of that. And
Yeah, no more bad weather and drama and
Yeah.
things.
Well, you know, and only one event. I mean, one event had to be canceled because there were tornadoes. But everything else, you know, happened, and that even the one that was, you know, wasn't canceled. It was just postponed. She did it like a week and a half later. So,
oh, nice.
it was smooth as could be as far as the events, the attendance, the turnout was amazing. There were so many. It was so many Friends in Fiction community members we saw. She really felt the love. Raleigh was incredible. Southern Pines is always fun. Yeah, Raleigh was the
Yeah.
biggest turnout I'd seen in Quail Ridge for sure. And a lot
Wow.
of our people were
Wow.
there. Barbara Wojcik was there. and Claire.
Fun.
Yeah.
Couple members in the chat also reminded us that Colleen Oakley was there too with her
Yes,
family at the
Colleen. And she
Atlanta.
brought her daughter,
Yes.
and yeah, oh, that was
Yeah,
great.
that
So
was
cute.
great.
Yeah, she was amazing. I love Colleen.
Yeah,
Lisa,
I
did
did
you
too.
go to Colleen and Annabelle's event together they
I
just had?
didn't. I didn't. I had to work super late that night and I didn't make it. I was so sad, but
Seems
there
like they
was a
had an
bunch of
amazing
people.
turnout, though.
Yeah, a bunch of people went.
Yeah.
A bunch of our, like, I know Anissa and Dawn and Anna, Raquel, one of our
Oh yeah.
lovely ladies. I don't know
Yeah.
I just remember the people who posted pictures,
Mhm.
but there was a nice group of it,
Yeah.
a lot of the Atlanta girls that were there.
Yeah.
Now, yeah,
Well, that is
heard it went
awesome.
well.
Hopefully you will have smooth sailing from here on out and continue. I feel sure the Friends in Fiction community will continue to rally because there's just
Oh
such an
yeah,
awesome
I
group.
think
And our
so.
book club members, of course.
There was
they
some
show up and
super,
show
like, there
out.
were some nice surprises too. Like Dallas, we had no idea what to expect. It had been so long since Mary Kay had been to Texas on a book tour.
Oh,
We needed an event to do something on that Wednesday during the day before the Friends of Fiction live show that night, and we were like, let's just see. We'll wing it and see how Dallas goes. And boy, did the people turn out for that. And delightful Catherine Center came and
I
was
love
her
her.
conversation partner, and it really was just phenomenal. And
oh,
if
that's awesome.
there's anyone in our group who's a member of the other Facebook group called Great Thoughts, Great Readers, are you part of that? It's run by a
I'm
woman
not,
named
but I've heard of
Andrea
it.
Peskin Katz, and she was there too. I've been
Oh,
pitching
cool.
her as a publicist for a long time, and it was nice to meet her in the flesh. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, there were lots of highlights for sure.
That's so funny
That's
because I
so
just met
cool.
Catherine Center yesterday
Oh, you
in
did?
Columbia. Yeah, yeah. So that was fun. And to
She
hear
just radiates
her
joy,
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. And energy. Oh my gosh.
right?
she's awesome.
She really is.
Yeah,
She's
I
your
met
pick next
her
month, right?
a couple months ago.
Yes.
Yep, that was gonna be a perfect segue into our announcements. Brenda, do you want to talk about our upcoming book club discussions? Well,
Okay,
I can.
absolutely.
July 15th is the Rom-Commers with Catherine Sinner. And not only are we having Catherine Sinner next month, but Brenda and I realized that next month will be our 50th book club discussion, not including happy hours or pop-up
Or
events,
any special.
but
Yeah.
any special events outside of, but so July 15th, we will have Catherine Center and it will be our 50th book club discussion. So I think that's going to be a really fun night just
I
ahead
do
of our
too.
50-year anniversary. So
I
fun, fun,
know.
fun. Yeah.
Wow,
Listening
that's
to her
awesome.
talk about this book too was just amazing. I can't wait to
Yeah.
read it. So
Oh,
now I
I
have it.
good.
I
loved
have to
it.
get started.
It's so, so
Okay.
good.
All
And
right. Go ahead.
August, we've got the one and only Christy Woodson Harvey
I've
with
heard
the
she's pretty
Happier
cool.
Life.
Yeah, me
And we
too.
will be, that's
Lisa
on
will be our Vanna.
August 19th
Woohoo!
at 7 p.m. And we did announce the winners, so make sure that you guys reach out to Brenda. And then on August 22nd, we have a happy hour with Ron
Oops,
Block.
sorry.
And then a special guest. That's on August 22nd. Then in September,
Bam,
we've
it's back
got
again.
Wanda Moritz, What You Leave
Woohoo!
Behind.
I love her.
And a good way to circle it all together is, as MK mentioned, if you're in the Atlanta area tomorrow night, Mary Kay will be in conversation with Wanda at the Decatur Library auditorium for Wanda's Pub Day. So pre-order your book and get the book, and we will be discussing it on September 6th.
Thank you, Lisa. That
Woohoo!
was a great wrap up.
That's a great lineup.
Yay!
Well, thank you guys for hanging in with us tonight, and thank you, Meg, so much for popping
course.
in and sharing your time with us and telling us.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to those photos. Let me just say that.
Oh, okay. I have to go
Oh,
dig some
yeah.
up. The pony and the opossum.
And the possum.
That's two
And
things
hey,
I
throw
didn't
in a
think
few more
we.
animals if you got them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Two things I didn't think we would talk about tonight, and it was ponies
I know.
or possums.
Yeah, pets. Who would have a possum as a pet? I just don't. If
I
you
don't
do, God
know.
bless you. I'm happy for you. I hope you
To
love the
each his
possum.
own.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yep.
makes you happy. And we also want to thank you guys for hanging in with us. I do want to touch on, we had some technical issues earlier this evening, and I'm not sure a lot of you are aware, and I want to thank Anissa for working so hard tonight to field the issues and communicate that Brenda and I
Oh,
have been
thank you,
trying to
Anissa.
get this done. And I want to thank Kristen Harmel for helping us as well, behind the scenes.
No.
I was sweating, and I want to thank Brenda for keeping the show going. But for those of you that don't know, Facebook recently made some changes, and we're no longer allowed to stream live to group pages from Zoom. And that is how we conduct our book club discussions. So we are trying
Or
different
StreamYard for
things,
that matter. Mhm.
or
Correct.
StreamYard. And that's what Friends in Fiction does for theirs. But we are trying different things. Brenda and I have tried to do workarounds. We want to be able to keep it so that we stream live to Facebook, and we're exploring our options. So we thank you for being patient with us when we have these issues, and hopefully they will be resolved before our 50th book club discussion next month.
Hoping so.
Yeah. Facebook
Fingers
always keeping
crossed.
us on our toes, you know?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
absolutely.
Yeah. But
Well,
thanks again, Meg, and thanks
course.
thanks
everyone.
again.
Thanks for
And
having me.
thanks to
Thanks
Mary
again, Meg.
Kay.
Of course. Have a great night.
And Kristen behind the scenes.
And Anissa, thank you. That was cool.
Yeah,
Have a
she
great
helped a lot. I just said, yeah, she
have a
helped a
great
lot.
rest of the evening. Oop.
Thank you
You too.
guys. PB and J and Meg out.
Peace out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.